How's it going, fellow Detroit Red Wings fans? Alright, this video is going to seem weird. I'm probably not going to get into a trend of talking about games, but I did get a chance to see the Detroit Red Wings versus the Chicago Blackhawks, I believe when this will be on YouTube, last night. They lost 7-2. It was a rough game, but it was an interesting game because a lot of our star players are out right now. Just off the top of my head, we're missing Dylan Larkin, Tyler Bertuzzi, he'll be out for a while, Troy Stecher, Robbie Fabry, and Patrick Nemeth. That's two pieces of our top line, a center on our second line, and two of our top four defensemen. But with those games where a lot of key players are missing, it gives us a chance to look at players that normally wouldn't get a lot of playing time or even be on the NHL roster. One of those players is Evgeny Svechnikov. He may sound familiar. He was a first-round draft pick in the 2015 NHL draft, and he's had a rough time getting into the NHL. It looked like he was going to make a case to have a permanent spot on the roster after the 2017-18 season. Unfortunately, he broke his leg and he had to undergo surgery and missed the entire next season. Which brings us to today. He had a couple opportunities. I believe there was one last season where he had a couple games. But this season, he was brought up this game and last game. Now, last game we did win, which is good, and this game we didn't, so that's not so great. But he was able to get 2 goals and an assist in both games. It's just really good to see because it looks like he might be a piece that will be staying. At least for the first 2 games that we've seen, he doesn't look out of place. He looks like he's helping and being more of an asset to the team than a liability. The next player I want to talk about is the opposite, which is unfortunate because he is supposed to be one of our biggest assets, if not our biggest asset. And I'm talking about Anthony Mantha. Now, I know he's had a lot of trouble recently. I haven't been able to see any games, so I obviously can't say maybe this is a one-off and it would just happen to be one of his worst performances. But it seemed like after he was able to establish himself on the Red Wings, he wasn't having much trouble. Now, sure, most of his seasons that he's played with the Red Wings, he has missed time due to injury. But it never seemed like the games that he was there that he was lagging. It always seemed like he was skating and ready to put the puck in the back of the net. The Anthony Mantha that I've been seeing lately isn't that player. He doesn't seem to be skating back to help out his own defenseman, and that actually led to this goal. Hopefully I can show it to you. Nikita Zadorov was coming back. 3 forwards came in, and 2 defensemen and another forward caught up to those players, and Zadorov, he was the late man in. Anthony Mantha was right behind him, and you could see in the replay, when Zadorov gets the puck, he's not skating. And it leads to a goal, and while it was a 7-2 game, it was long before it was 7-2. It was one of the first goals scored that game. And it's reflected in his plus-minus. He has a team worst plus-minus of -13. Your top-line forward should not have the worst plus-minus on your team. One of the other key points I got to see was Filip Zadina. Now, I feel like he has gotten a lot of time, but I don't think he's gotten a lot of show-off. He's doing really, really good, especially for a player in his age. He is 21. He turned 21 last November. Now, when we drafted him at 6th overall in the 2018 draft, he was supposed to be the best goal scorer in that draft outside of Andrei Svechnikov. And last season, he definitely proved that, but he had one of the worst plus-minus, especially considering he only played about half as many games as the rest of the players. This season, it's different. He obviously hasn't produced at the same rate. It's still okay, especially for considering he's a 21-year-old, but what surprised me is his plus-minus is +2. Now, the Red Wings are one of the worst teams in the league currently, unfortunately. But a young forward that especially brought in to produce offense, having one of the best plus-minuses on the team, that's far and above really, really good. He's eventually going to be able to mix that goal-scoring ability, playmaking ability, and thankfully, defensive ability too. Once he's able to get old enough, he's only 21. Look at even at like Filip Hronek. He's about 24, 23-ish now. And he's still got a lot of years ahead. You got a player that's 2 or 3 years behind him, and he's arguably at the same spot for being a forward. Now the last thing I wanted to touch on is Thomas Greiss' play. Now when Thomas Greiss was signed as a free agent last offseason, I honestly thought he would be the starter. I didn't think Bernier would even be able to compete with him. Thomas Greiss' play, so far, he currently owns a .882 save percentage, which by the way is the save percentage as Howard had last season. Greiss' save percentage really sticks out, especially when you compare it to Bernier's .918 save percentage. And Bernier, in my opinion, at least before he came to the Red Wings, was not the goaltender that you would think that would put you into the playoffs. Not that he is, but compared to Greiss, a goaltender that I would consider a team would bring on if they want to be competitive. Let me know down in the comments what you think of last night's game if you're able to see it, and what you think of all the subjects we talked about in today's video. And until next time, lights out in the red light district.
They worked their way into good shape. He's just not able to beat the goalie.
Final horn sounds, and we are all done with this one. The Red Wings deliver with a big performance.